Alright guys, today we're going to be talking about things I like about the 2010 Camaro. First off, obviously it looks pretty awesome. Inferno Orange is one of the best colors ever produced. But you guys already knew that. But we'll step inside here and we'll go over some more things I like about it. First off being the interior of it, actually. Now everybody talks a lot of crap on the interior of this car, and I don't really care what anybody else says. I think it looks pretty nice, and I actually think the materials are decent quality. You look over here, door panel, pretty simple, not a whole lot going on. That's how I like it. Steering wheel is pretty cool. Since it is a 2010, you do have the Camaro lettering on the center of the wheel there. Step inside. You do see that it's got the retro gauges. These are pretty similar design to the first gen Camaro, so that's kind of neat. Now on the RS cars, you did have a 4 gauge pod here. You had like trans temp, oil temp, that kind of stuff. This car doesn't have it because it is not an RS, but I do think the RS gauges look pretty sweet. But since this is a base model, you just got the little storage tray there, which is perfect for your little COVID-19 mask. But the radio, factory radio, very simple, not a whole lot going on, but it gets the job done. Same with the HVAC controls, nothing crazy. I do like the way all the gauges light up kind of a bluish turquoise color. I think that's pretty neat looking. But the dash setup is just very simple, very clean. Not a whole lot going on. That's what I like about it. Seats are very supportive. They actually hold you pretty well in a turn. They're very comfortable. And I'm about 6'1", and I fit in this car really well. So I'll do another demonstration here. I'll get in the car. Very, very easy to get in and out of. Actually, much easier than 4th gen Firebirds. Headroom is not quite as good. I'll do a demonstration here. You can see head's pretty close to the ceiling here, and I do have the seat reclined quite far, so headroom isn't great. This car does have a sunroof, so I'm sure that cuts down on the headroom a little bit, but headroom isn't great, but room for my knees is actually pretty good. On my Firebird, console cuts over kind of far and the door panel is kind of like curved, so my knee room isn't great. But in this Camaro I got a ton of room, ton of leg room. Shoulder room's actually pretty good. So I fit in this car very comfortably. I am a little close to the ceiling, but some people that'll bother them, but it doesn't really bother me. Visibility, everybody says it's so bad. I don't really think it's bad. I think they're finding things to complain about. I think it's alright. You can see out the back okay. The blind spots, yes, they are larger than the average car. I don't think they're bad. Take a step outside. Another thing I love about it is the actual size of the trunk. You got a pretty good amount of room in there. The only real limiting factor is the opening, but once you're in there, you do have a good bit of space. So you can see I do have a weed whacker in there. But yeah, so I love the interior, love the comfort of it. The car rides fantastic, handles wonderfully. Everybody says these things are too heavy, they're too big, they don't handle. It's wrong. They are wrong. Go out and drive one and you will see they handle very, very well. Let's pop the hood. The next thing I love about this Camaro is the good old 3.6. Hard to open a hood with one hand. So there we have the good old 3.6, the LLT, putting out 304 horsepower, 278 pound-feet of torque. This thing moves pretty good. Engine runs. This is actually the smoothest running engine I have ever driven. This car is insanely smooth, to the point where with a manual transmission like this car has, it's actually difficult to launch because the engine is running so smooth and so quiet that it has a hard time. It makes it hard for me to feel what the car's doing, so I actually have to look at the tach. But I'll get into that in my things I don't like about it video. But the 3.6, very good. This has 110,000 miles on it now. Doesn't show any problems, any signs of wear. It gets up and goes just fine. Runs very smoothly, very quietly. Puts power down pretty well, actually. These things are pretty quick. As you can see in there, compared to a 4th gen Firebird that I'm used to, you have a decent amount of space. And you got to remember, this is a dual overhead cam engine. So for a 5th gen, you do have a decent amount of space here. So that's one thing I do like about it. Because if you lose the air box here, I mean, you can access just about anything you want, really. A lot of room in here. Very, very decent engine bay for a sports car. But yeah, I love that this car is a manual. I love that GM offered the manual, because, you know, Dodge didn't offer the manual for a Challenger V6. So I think it's pretty cool that this is a manual. Seats, very good. Interior, very good. Car's actually very quiet. Going down the highway, as far as road noise goes, much quieter than I'm used to, actually. I think overall it's a pretty good car. This is a manual, which I'm happy about. And what that also means is that we got a Torsen limited slip diff. So that's even awesomer. Not that awesomer is a word. But this thing, it will squeal the tires. But yeah, Torsen limited slip's pretty cool. I like the stock wheels. I think they look pretty nice. They're that polished aluminum. They're a little dirty right now, but I think they look pretty cool. They're a cool design to them. I'm not sure what tires this car had from the factory, but it has Pirellis on it now. They seem to handle quite well. I think the stock ride height of a 5th gen is actually pretty good. I always thought 4th gen sat too high from the factory, but I think 5th gens sit just about right. So that's cool. And another thing I love about this car is your actual approach angle is pretty decent. If you look here, you don't have a ton of overhang in the front as compared to like a 4th gen Camaro or Firebird. So you can actually take curbs a little more straight on than I'm used to, because I'm used to having to hit everything at an angle so I don't rip my bumper off. But this thing, you got a pretty decent approach angle, so going over curbs and stuff really isn't a big deal. So I like that. In the rear, same kind of thing. You don't have a ton of overhang, but I don't really have problems with clearance in the rear. You're usually not backing up over curbs. I like the sunroof. I mean, I think when it's open, it adds a nice feel to the cabin. I guess if you're the kind of person that gets claustrophobic when your head's close to the ceiling, you could open the sunroof and you have a little bit of space there. Wouldn't feel so tight. But yeah, I love this car. I think it drives really nice. The steering is actually, it transmits a decent amount of feel to it. And it's the front end just feels super planted. So you're going down a road, you can push this thing into a corner pretty hard and the car just feels like it's planted and it knows where it's going. Another thing I love about this Camaro is that, unlike the previous F-body Camaros, there is no hump in the passenger side floor. So you see, sitting in the passenger side, I have just as much room as the driver does. Unlike the 3rd and 4th gens, where there was this big hump on the floor, it made it very uncomfortable for the passenger. Another thing I love about the Camaro is the Boston premium audio sound system. Actually, for a factory sound system, it's very, very good. Especially considering this is only a LT model, so it's, you know, just above a base model. And that stereo is pretty awesome. I believe it's a 9-speaker. So you got like 2 in each door, a couple in the back seat, couple on the rear deck, and then 1 in the dash. I believe that adds up to 9. But it sounds very, very good for a stock system, especially from 2010. You gotta remember, this car's 10 years old with 110,000 miles on it. Stereo's awesome. So yeah, that's what I like about this car. I'll be making more videos on it in the future. Don't forget to subscribe for more Camaro Firebird videos. Let me know in the comments what other videos you'd like me to make about this thing. Thanks for watching.